Next on the Broadway Show, it's our 2025 Fall Preview Special, and all the stars of the new Broadway season are here. It's totally excellent. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter reuniting for the revival of Waiting for Godot. Plus, it's art for art's sake. We're talking with Neil Patrick Harris, James Corden, and Bobby Cannavale, the stars of art on Broadway. Also, I'm sitting down with Tony Award winner Victoria Clark to chat about the American premiere of the new play Punch. And the stars of Queen of Versailles, Ragtime, Beetlejuice, and so many more. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is the Broadway Show. The new fall season is here, and we're taking a look at each and every one of the new shows on stage this autumn. It's our Fall Preview Special. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Welcome. Waiting for Godot is totally excellent. Samuel Beckett's masterpiece, back on Broadway with Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, stars of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. We asked Keanu what he's most looking forward to about his Broadway debut.
To get a chance to do this play on Broadway, I mean, the question is actually the answer, you know, and to do it with you, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's, yeah. Doing the Tonys, and then also recently getting the photograph that you took of the billboard, of the theater.
Right, yeah.
Like, that to me was like,
oh, it's real.
oh. You know, like when we did the photography for that, you know, what is that, a year ago?
Over a year ago, yeah.
You know, but then to see that when you showed that to me, I was like,
Keanu works very hard, and he's a very physical actor as well, as great in.
But it ain't Broadway, and this guy's been. You've been like, I'm in Pilates, I'm training, I'm lifting weights, I've got the diet, you don't know what it takes, and like.
Well, I didn't say that,
but I did tell you what I thought it took.
I did say that this is more about physical endurance than anything else. So yeah, I started training as soon as Keanu said, "What about doing Godot?" I'm like, great, click. Okay, let's get started. You know, because we're older, and I want to make sure I'm in shape. So yeah, I mean, it's a marathon. It's a marathon every night.
Art is back on Broadway this fall. It's star-studded. Neil Patrick Harris, Bobby Cannavale, and James Corden all returning to Broadway in the first ever revival of the Tony-winning play. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
This feels like a real nice, classy Broadway gig, right? Like, you guys, handsome guys, great suits, great conversation, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to see this?
I think it's kind of a perfect theatrical evening, constructed as such. We'll try and F it up as much as we can.
In all those years of hosting The Late Late Show, were you just looking at guests thinking like, who do I want to do Broadway with? You guys weren't you both guests on?
All the time, all the time.
Were you?
Yeah, all the time. It's very, very rare for performers who are so in demand in film and television not to be just completely consumed by film and television and sucked into that world very, very quickly. Sure enough, you look up and 12 years, 13, 14 years later, they haven't stepped back on a stage. And my respect for Neil and Bobby as performers to keep the discipline of being committed to that is incredible. And that was really, as soon as it became clear that they were interested in doing it, it was a no-brainer, really.
There's something so masculine about this play, and I know that it's really written for men. You know, like I have a friend whose name I will not say, who just like has to tell me his opinion, even if he knows like that it's gonna piss me off. You know, those people they just have to like. They just have to. There's just something in that, right? And I know that you kind of like start to play that way, don't you?
Character, he cannot help himself. It's who he is, and he, not only that, but he's already 20 years into an established relationship in which the roles have been defined, at least to him. You know, there's a line later on in the play that's been haunting me every night, where he talks about how he is, you know, in moral quicksand. What does that mean when somebody, at least when somebody that you're close to views you that way? Does that just throw you off your axis? Well, I think it does when a good friend is critical of your behavior, of the person that you are, even though they've been friends with you all these years. It might seem like it's a play about three well-to-do guys arguing over a piece of contemporary art, but I'm positive that anybody can get down with this play and see themselves in any of these characters.
You buy a painting. That's sort of the jump off of all this, right? A beautiful painting that looks like what?
I wouldn't call it monochromatic, but it's a whitish in tone. There's a couple like diagonal stripes, another little line at the bottom. It's by a very well-known painter named Andreas.
Right.
It's just a white square on it.
It's not.
Yeah, you have a lot of opinions.
It's not just a white square.
I mean, this is the play. You're watching. You said, guys, calm down. And that's it. That's the play in a whole.
All hail the Queen, Tony winner Kristin Chenoweth back on Broadway in the new musical Queen of Versailles. Kristin starring alongside Oscar winner F. Murray Abraham. It's a true story of a billionaire Florida couple and their mission to build the largest private home in North America.
The story that we're telling, it's entertaining, it is fun, it's also an interesting story to tell. It's hard to tell in some ways. I hope that the audience asks themselves some of the things that we ask in the show. When is enough enough? Why do we build people up? What about them makes us interested and fascinated? And then why do we tear them down?
I feel like I'm going to present this to the public to say, this is for you. Wait till you open this package. That's how I feel.
The American premiere of Punch is on Broadway this fall season. The play from James Graham is about one fatal blow in the lives that are changed forever. It stars Will Harrison, Victoria Clark, and more. Well, so let's talk about what Punch is about for people that are not familiar.
Right. So Punch is a play based on a true story by James Graham, and it's based on the true story of a young man named Jacob Dunn, who is from Nottingham in the Midlands, in the middle of England, north of London. And one night he's out with some friends and he's intoxicated, he's also a little high, and he gets involved in a scrum, in a bit of a fight, and he throws a punch. And the man he hits goes down. Jacob flees the scene and doesn't find out until much later that this young man died. And so the play is based on his book called Right from Wrong, which he wrote, which is about his journey from taking responsibility for what he did, responsibility for his actions, to his advocacy work now for restorative justice. And one of the great things about the play is that the reason he's able to make that turn is that the parents of the young man that he killed come forward to him and start asking questions about his life, and they want to get involved in his future. The play asks the question of the audience, if it were you, what would you do?
You met the real life Joan, is that right? Or who did you meet?
Okay,
who have you met?
I've been so blessed. Okay, so Joan and real life Joan and David and Nicola Bancroft, who was their liaison through an organization called Remedy. Remedy, sent Nicola to their home. And she was able to talk them through, like, do you want to do this? Do you want to reach out? And they said yes, but we don't want to meet him. And then that part is also in the play. And then gradually, I don't want to give too much away.
Okay.
But it is a very suspenseful play.
Now, have you ever met him? Did you meet him or no?
I have had the pleasure of meeting Jacob. As soon as I was cast, I booked a ticket to England right away. And I was only supposed to spend maybe a couple of hours with Jacob, but we ended up spending like 5.5 hours together.
Wow.
And he took me to all the locations in the play. And he's a remarkable person. I'm very honored that I was able to meet him.
And we caught up with another one of the stars of Punch, Will Harrison, one of the stars of the hit Amazon Prime show, Daisy Jones and the Six.
I'm over the moon. I'm so excited. It's like, I was blown away when I read the script, and it's definitely a big role to take on and a lot of responsibility, but I'm so excited and surrounded by a killer cast.
Ragtime gets a Broadway revival this fall at Lincoln Center. The show follows 3 fictional families in pursuit of the American dream at the dawn of the 20th century. Here's Paul now with the stars.
Ragtime on Broadway, starring you four. I love this. When I interview actors who are in revivals, it's very common for actors to say, well, this show is more relevant than ever. It's kind of a classic line that actors say about revivals, right? But wow, you're doing Ragtime in 2025. I don't know if anyone has ever been able to own that statement more. Your characters represent hardworking Black Americans. You're sort of the sheltered elite, right? And you're the hopeful immigrant who comes to America. And in the musical, we get to see them all come together and we get to see them interact at a time when I don't know that everyone feels like that's happening on the streets of America, correct?
Sometimes we talk about like how useful we feel as artists at this time. Sometimes you want to go protest, sometimes you want to go, you know, just yell in the middle of the street. We get to be in Lincoln Center, and our act of service is showing America what America is, you know, in its glory and in its lessons that it has to learn. And to be able to do that, that is like just the crossroads of arts and service and purpose. And I feel like I go to sleep after rehearsal, just being like, no, I've done my part.
How about for you?
I mean, it feels like we're doing like an act of service for other people. Like, and this is like what we signed up for theater to do, is to inspire people, to give people that hope, to tell these stories. And even from the first day, when we were all just standing in that circle, I think we all could just like look at one another and see that in each other's face. It just feels bigger.
To meet this material each day in a very different space based on what has happened in the world has been really interesting too. Like, you know, some days I'm playing mother from a real mothering standpoint. I'm a mom to 2 young kids, and I'm bringing so much of that experience into this. Sometimes I'm really resonating with the immigrant story. I'm an immigrant. Sometimes I'm really resonating with the Jewish story. I'm a Jew. And it's the same, but it's different every day because you're different every day. And I think that's going to be really interesting to watch ourselves navigate and the audience navigate too.
I find something new, like Caissie was saying, every single day, every single time we run this show. I mean, so, you know, every single layer of this show has something that speaks to this moment. It feels like it was written yesterday. But we keep reminding each other how lucky we are. I mean, it's not lost on any of us how lucky we are. It also is like, at the same time, like very devastating in some ways that this feels so relevant right now. We have been given the space to bring ourselves to these parts, and there's just like an authenticity to it.
Yeah, how does it feel to actually have these moments on stage, like Wheels of a Dream or Back to Before, these moments? What is it like to actually take in those moments as a performer?
It's crazy. You know, you were talking specifically about the many things that you are, and like Wheels of a Dream, for example, like it's hard to get through sometimes because it's so beautiful. It's almost too beautiful for words. And, you know, but that's what we want the audience to feel. It's almost like blindness, not blindness to reality, but like that beauty is possible.
I mean, I will say about Back to Before, you know, it's such a like iconic song that has a lot of lore behind it, and it's so easy to kind of get caught up in that. But every time I sing it, I find something new each day in it because it asks so many hard questions. It costs something, you know, and I think that's something all these characters deal with in the show. It's like they learn, they are changed by the people around them, and it's going to be really special to have this proper run, this exact moment in time to kind of explore all these questions again.
We have a lot more coming up next on The Broadway Show. It's showtime one more time. Beetlejuice is coming back for a 3rd Broadway run, haunting the Palace Theater. Here's Perry Sook.
All right, I am here outside the Palace Theater with the set designer of Beetlejuice, David Correns. The resurrection performance coming to Broadway for the 3rd time. Is that strange?
I don't know that it's ever happened before. Has the show ever come back
I don't
3
think
times?
So.
I mean, if it has happened, we have to come back a 4th time. But no, it's like completely out of body, and it's so weird to be back on Broadway. It's
such a unique journey, though, too, because it didn't just go and then come and have a revival. It obviously had the COVID break, and then this is the tour now coming here. What has the transformation been like for a show like this?
We did the show out of town in DC. We brought it to New York, and we loved it. And then we got unlucky with the COVID of it all. So a lot of shows got to revive, right, to come back. Then we made a super nimble version that basically was embraced all over the country. It was like one of the most successful tours that there was. And now that production gets to come here, it's like It's just amazing because the fan base for this show is so fervent and incredible. Like they are, you see cosplay at Hamilton, right? People like show up. No. You come here, it's like mandatory. You've got to dress up. This show is like entertaining with a capital E, and you know that the second you walk into the theater.
And Charlie Cooper took a walk with one of the stars of Beetlejuice, Isabella Essler.
Isabella, hi. I'm walking you to work today, girl.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And listen, do you have a big reason to be excited? Your Broadway debut as Lydia? Hello? Who better to play Lydia?
Oh my gosh, it's so insane. I can't even process it at all.
Well, listen, I heard that your face is on that marquee. Shall we go see it?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Let's do this. So I just feel like you've lived with Lydia across many different stages on the national tour. And here we are about to step on stage on Broadway. How do you imagine that experience will be different from what you've experienced?
Yeah, I started the show when I was 18. Like I just finished high school and now it's been like 3 years now and I feel like a different person. And I'm kind of excited to bring a more like a little bit of a maturity to Lydia, I feel like I see her from a different perspective now. Hello?
Hello? Lydia?
It's me!
What is this moment like for you?
It's surreal. I don't know. I've seen this picture multiple times, but every time I look at myself, I'm like, that's not my face. But it is my face. It's that little smirk,
It totally is. We're so close to Times Square.
Yeah.
If Lydia could step off stage and like hit up Times Square, what would she get into?
I feel like she would hate Times Square. I feel like she would hate it. If I'm gonna be so honest, yeah, she would probably hide away in the corner. I think she'd be overwhelmed by all the people.
Well, congrats. This is huge. Your Broadway debut. And
I'm so excited.
You're gonna step into this character. One you know so well.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Good luck with it all.
Thank you so much, thank you.
For the first time in 37 years, the Cold War musical Chess comes back to Broadway. It's another one loaded with star power. Lea Michele is back on the boards, starring alongside Tony winner Aaron Tveit and Nicholas Christopher.
It's a fictional version of the Bobby Fischer-Boris Spassky chess rivalry, which is the coolest idea ever for a musical, right? These songs are incredible. This is a great concept for a show. How can we make the story in the book live up to how fantastic these songs are and can help the songs, fulfill their potential within a story as they possibly could.
Well, most of the audiences who know the songs have never seen them in the context, of the original story, let alone this new version that Danny has created. All these songs are in the context of not only the love story that Danny has created, but this sort of epic scale presentation of it.
Liberation comes to Broadway this fall after an extended off-Broadway run. The new play from Bess Wool explores the women's movement of the 70s and its residents today. Here's Beth Stevens with another edition of Building Broadway.
What first sparked you into Liberation?
The play really came from this almost lifelong desire from when I was very small to understand the feminist movement. My mom worked at Ms. Magazine when I was a little kid. I spent a lot of my childhood going to Ms., meeting her friends. It kind of became part of my worldview. And then as I grew up, I noticed ways that my own life was coming into collision with some of the ideas that I had grown up with. And I really wanted to write about it. And so I spent, really probably over a decade trying to figure out how to write this play, how I wanted to approach the material, what the play would be. And Liberation is the result of all of that life and all of that work.
And this play really is in conversation between the 1970s and the present. So tell me about that.
I knew that I didn't want to write a play that was just a history play. I wanted something that felt really current, really now, and I wanted an opportunity to look at and talk about all of the changes that are happening in the world right now. At the same time, because of how I grew up, the women who fought for their rights in the 1970s loomed really large for me. So I wanted to find a way to put those two decades and time periods in conversation with each other. And the play, like, quite literally puts them in conversation with each other. It's a real mashup. And I was just really interested in jumping in time and the way theater can do that, unlike almost any other art form.
And here we go again, a quick reminder, Mamma Mia and the music of ABBA, back in New York. It's one of Broadway's most popular shows of all time, returning for a limited run. And the star of Mamma Mia, Kristin Chenoweth, is making her Broadway debut.
I was teaching 5th grade when I got a call to come in for this particular contract. I've kind of been back and forth between being a performer and being a teacher, and I love this family. So when they called, I was like, absolutely. I mean, not only, you know, is this an incredible tour, but it's also my family, my Mamma Mia family.
Two-time Tony Award winner Laurie Metcalf returns to Broadway this season in Little Bear Ridge Road, set in rural Idaho. It's a story of an aunt and her estranged nephew who reunite to deal with some family drama. Little Bear Ridge Road this October on Broadway. A reimagining of the Greek tragedy Oedipus comes to Studio 54 this season. It's a modern-day retelling starring Leslie Manville and Mark Strong. Oscar nominee June Squibb returns to Broadway this fall in Marjorie Prime. She's leading a cast that includes Cynthia Nixon and Danny Burstein.
New York, I'm already choking to talk New York.
Two strangers carry a cake across New York City. That's both the title and premise of a new musical on Broadway this fall. It's a two-person rom-com from the UK. Two Strangers begins Broadway previews November 1st. There's nothing like the magic of Broadway, and there's nothing like seeing magic on Broadway. One of the world's great illusionists, Rob Lake, brings his mind-melting magic to New York this fall, along with some very special guests, the Muppets. Get your tickets at Broadway.com. And that's going to do it for us, but for tickets, or if you want to see extended cuts of all these interviews, head over to Broadway.com and be sure to check out the Broadway Show Uncut, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show.